सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। Continuing to discuss and study from the 9th chapter, answers citing by Lord's version. So we have discussed the first 8 verses, the reason why the conditioned soul gets affected, although he is spiritual, by the identification with the material body, because of his illusion of considering himself with this material body, conception of aham mameti. And then Shudev Goswami is speaking about Brahmaji, that how Brahmaji is the first spiritual master, and how he could trace that the source of him and how he could create. That is because of performing penance, tapasya, great austerity that he performed. Lord Brahma underwent penance for 1000 years by the calculation of the demigods. Divyam Saharsa Abdham. And then what he had, Amog Darshano. So then he had the audience. Audience was in the form of sound. Lord Brahma underwent penance for 1000 years by the calculations of the demigods. One day of demigod is equivalent to duration of how many days of earthly planet? Celestial years. Yes, Ramya?
6 months, Prabhuji. Our 6 months is 1 day of heaven.
So just imagine 1000 years, and for every 6 months of our, why Dayāśīl is not sitting and hearing? I have already joined so late. It is 8:30. Such a long duration of time, and Brahmaji is performing very severe austerity penances. And he heard this transcendental vibration from the sky, and he accepted it as divine. Thus he controlled his mind and senses, and the penances he executed were a great lesson for the living entities. I don't know. Today's living entity, they don't want to learn. There is no question. They don't have the gene of learning. And what to speak of controlling the mind and senses. Thus he is known to be the greatest of all ascetics. Prabhupada is giving the, I think we did not, did we take this verse, 8th verse? But it is worth discussing again. Lord Brahma heard the occult sound tapaha, but he did not see the person who vibrated the sound. And still he accepted the instructions as beneficial for him Therefore, he engaged himself in meditation for 1000 celestial years. And Prabhupada gives the calculation, one celestial year is equal to 6 into 30 into 12 into 1000 of our years. That is 1 year. His acceptance of the sound was due to his pure vision of the absolute nature of the Lord. What is the absolute nature of the Lord? Prabhupada is saying his acceptance of the sound was due to his pure vision of the absolute nature of the Lord. Please answer. What is the pure vision the absolute nature of the Lord? बताइए, what is the pure vision in terms of absolute nature of the Lord? Yes, Manoram Prabhu?
Obviously, the Lord Himself and His name is non-different.
Yes, and his sound vibration is not different. That is only possible when one is pure. Impure person, we cannot see the oneness. That the sound and the Lord are same. So Brahmaji could accept that. And what was the result? And due to his correct vision, he made no distinction between the Lord and the Lord's instructions. There is no difference between the Lord and sound vibration coming from him. Even though he is not personally present. The best way of understanding is to accept such divine instructions. And Brahma, the prime spiritual master of everyone, is the living example of this process of receiving transcendental knowledge. So he could receive the transcendental knowledge because he did not differentiate between the sound and the Lord. So he was the right candidate to receive it. The potency of transcendental sound is never minimized because the vibrator is apparently absent. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita or any other revealed scripture in the world is never to be accepted. माने नहीं माता जी, म्यूट कर दीजिए. क्या हुआ, आप बाहर हैं क्या? Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita or any other revealed scripture in the world is never to be accepted as an ordinary mundane sound without transcendental potency. So when we are reading, hearing, or sharing Srimad Bhagavatam, then we are in oneness with the Supreme Lord. That is called pure vision. One has to receive the transcendental sound from the right source, accept it as reality, and prosecute the direction without hesitation. The secret of success is to receive the sound from the right source, a bona fide spiritual master. Mundane manufactured sound has no potency, and as such, seemingly transcendental sound received from an unauthorized person also has no potency. What is the verse? There is a very famous verse by Srila Sanatan Goswami. I have given you a big hint. Sanatan Goswami warns us that one should accept it only from the right source, from the bona fide spiritual master. What is the verse? Very famous verse. You should know all these verses. This is called pramana. This is the evidence. What is the evidence? Priyanka? Srila Sanatan Goswami is warning not to receive transcendental sound from unauthorized person. Transcendental sound. Even literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, which is non-different from the Lord. Bolo Purushottam. Very famous verse. So many times Prabhupada quotes it. Dayāśīl, you should be able to answer it. No one of you remembers. बोलो रम्या, आपको पता है?
मुझे थोड़ा बहुत याद आ रहा है ऐसा।
बोलिए।
माया बागदी भाष्य ऐसे हुए सर्वनाश
नहीं,
ऐसा कुछ।
नहीं, नहीं. Not to receive even the transcendental subject matter or transcendental sound from unauthorized person. You should receive it only from authorized person. Because the potency is not there. The Prabhupada is talking about the potency, the spiritual potency. Avaishnavo mukhad girim putam hari kathamritam shravanam neva kartavyam sarpochishtha yatha paya. Have you not heard this verse? Famous verse by Srila Sanatana Goswami. Who will explain? What does this verse mean? A Vaishnava Mukhat Girim. From a person who is not coming in the disciplic succession. A Vaishnava. Mukhat, from his mouth. Girim. What? Putam Hari Kathamritam. Even if he is hearing the Hari Kathamritam. Shravanam Neva Kartavyam. Srila Sanatana Goswami is saying one should not hear from him. Why? Because his speaking is just like trying to take the milk which has already been touched by the serpent. Will anyone drink the milk which is drunk by the serpent or touched by the serpent? Will anyone drink? No. So that is the importance. Bhakti is very subtle. And here Brahmaji understood this very clearly. Prabhupada is saying here, the secret of success is to receive the sound from the right source, a bona fide spiritual master. Mundane manufactured sound has no potency, and as such, seemingly transcendental sound received from an unauthorized person also has no potency. This is very, very remarkable. One should be qualified enough to discern such transcendental potency, and either by discriminating or by fortunate chance, if one is unable to receive the transcendental sound from the bona fide spiritual master, his path of liberation is guaranteed. The disciple, however, must be ready to execute the order of the bona fide spiritual master, as Lord Brahma executed the instructions of his spiritual master, the Lord himself. Following the order of the bona fide spiritual master is the only duty of the disciple. Prabhupada is making it very clear, unambiguous. Following the order of the bona fide spiritual master is the only duty of the disciple, and this completely faithful execution of the order of the bona fide spiritual master is the secret of success. Prabhupada is defining it so meticulously. What is the secret of success? Lord Brahma controlled his two grades of senses, namely his senses of perceptions and his organs of actions, because he had to engage them in the execution of the order of this Lord. So both the Jnanendriya and also the Karma Indriya. The Lord's order descends in disciplic succession through the bona fide spiritual master. And thus execution of the order of the bona fide spiritual master is factual control of the senses. Just see Prabhupada is so majestically revealing that what does it mean of controlling the senses. It is not trying to go underwater and stop breathing, controlling the sense, or stop seeing, or stop speaking. No, nothing will work. All of it will fail. Just imagine the controls of the level of control Sabri Muni had. He could go underwater, remain there in tapasya, in penance, for more than 10,000 years. He did not breathe for 10,000 years. Look at the level of control. We cannot even imagine. And what happened? He became uncontrolled. Where? Underwater, seeing two fishes mating. So what does it mean to control the senses? Prabhupada is giving the secret here. The execution of the order of the bona fide spiritual master is factual control of the senses. Such execution of penance in full faith and sincerity made Brahmaji so powerful that he became the creator of the universe. This is the secret. And because he was able to attain such power, he is called the best among all the tapasvis. What was the greatest tapasya? Execution of the order of the bona fide spiritual master. Tasmai swalokam Bhagavan Sabhajita Sandarshayam Asaparam Nayatpara Vyapeta Sanklesha Vimoha Sadvasam Sadrishtvaadher Purushe Abhistutam. Tasmai Swalokam Bhagavan Sabhajitaha. So the personality of Godhead being very much satisfied with the penance of Lord Brahma. What he did? He was pleased to manifest his personal abode Vaikuntha, the supreme planet above all others. This transcendental abode of the Lord is adored by the self-realized persons. Vyapeta Sanklesha Vimoha Sadhvasam. Vimoha means without illusion. And who are without illusion? Swadrishta Vadhivi, by those who have perfectly realized the self. This transcendental abode of the Lord is adored by all self-realized persons, freed from all kind of miseries and fear of illusory existence. The troubles of penance accepted by Lord Brahma were certainly in the line of devotional service bhakti. Otherwise, there was no chance that Vaikuntha or Swalokam, the Lord's personal abode, would become visible to Brahmaji. The personal abodes of the Lord, known as Vaikunthas, are neither mythical nor material as conceived by the impersonalist, but realizations of the transcendental abode of the Lord is possible only through devotional service. And thus the devotee enters into such abodes. There is undoubtedly trouble in executing penance. Prabhupada is very practical. To execute the order or instruction is very difficult. Why? Why is it so difficult? Prabhupada is saying here that there is undoubtedly trouble in executing penance. What is the trouble? Why this troublesome practice is to be accepted or the process is to be followed? What is the trouble? Does the spiritual master is very harsh, or he gives such instruction is very difficult to follow? Then why it is being said so? What is the difficulty? Shutakriti Prabhu wrote a book. Prabhupada used to ask, what is the difficulty? So he has written a book. What is the difficulty? Or where is the difficulty? What is the difficulty? Is there any difficulty, or there is no difficulty in executing the order of the spiritual master? First, let us discuss and decide this. How many of you full? Yes, Purushottam?
Yes, Prabhu, there is difficulty because it is against the sense gratification.
Yeah. Difficulty is because it does not allow us our sense gratification or our mental concoction, both. Neither the mental concoction is allowed, nor the sense gratification is allowed. And we are addicted to both. So there is difficulty. Like a child, when he is admitted in the school, he feels it's the most difficult time for this in his life. What is the difficulty? He has to give up his freedom. He does not want to go to the school. But if he does not want to go to school, then he remains illiterate. But the trouble accepted in executing Bhakti Yoga is transcendental happiness from the very beginning. Prabhupada is mentioning this also. But the trouble accepted in executing Bhagavad Gita is transcendental happiness from the very beginning. Whereas the trouble of penance in other processes of self-realization, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, etc., without any Vaikuntha realization, ends in troubles only and nothing more. Very important is this. While practicing bhakti, one must have some Vaikuntha realization. There is no profit in beating husk without grain. You know this saying? That there is no profit in beating husk without grain. Similarly, there is no profit in executing troublesome penance for realization other than the penance of Bhakti Yoga. Executing Bhakti Yoga is exactly like sitting on the lotus sprouted out of the abdomen of the transcendental personality of Godhead. Prabhupada is comparing Bhakti Yoga as sitting on the lotus sprouted out of the abdomen of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. But Lord Brahma was seated there. Brahmaji was able to please the Lord, and the Lord was also pleased to show Brahmaji his personal abode. Srila Jiva Goswami, in the comments of his Krama Sandarbha, annotations of Srimad Bhagavatam, cites quotations from Brihad Aranya Upanishad, Vedic evidence. It is said that the Yajnavalkya described the transcendental abode of the Lord to Gargi, and that the abode of the Lord is situated above the highest planet of the universe, namely Brahmalok. That is Vaikuntha. This abode of the Lord, although described in revealed scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, remains only a myth for a less intelligent class of men with poor fund of knowledge. Herein the word Swadrishtva Abdihi is very significant. One who has actually realized his self realizes the transcendental form of the self. One who has actually realized his self realizes the transcendental form of the self. Impersonal realization of the self and the Supreme is not complete because it is just an opposite conception of material personalities. The personality of Godhead and the personalities of devotees of the Lord are all transcendental. They do not have material bodies. The material body is overcast with 5 kinds of miserable conditions. See, the 5 types of deception. Namely, first is ignorance, second is material conception, third is attachment, fourth is hatred, and absorption. As long as one is overwhelmed by these 5 kind of material miseries, there is no question of entering into Vaikuntha Lokas. Very important. Let us discuss this. What are the 5 kinds of miserable condition? First is ignorance, which is ajnana. Can anyone elaborate? What is this ajnana, ignorance? Please contribute. Do we have this 5 kind of miseries? Are we experiencing this 5 kind of miseries? Or how many of you are above these miseries? Who have surpassed the position of this miserable material condition, and they are situated in the Vaikuntha atmosphere. Aspiration is there, but how many have actually graduated? What Prabhupada is speaking here is the first is the ignorance. The first aspect of material misery is ignorance. Boli? What is the ignorance? Ajnana. Yes, Sonika, बताएं.
Krishna Prabhuji, knowing that means knowing ourselves as a body or mind.
Yes, knowing ourselves as product of matter. Wrong identification. Not considering ourselves as part of the Supreme Lord, considering ourselves as part of matter. And the second is material conception. So because ignorance is there, we do not have knowledge that who we are, we have material conceptions. What is the material conception? That having our identification with this material world. And because we have material conception, what is obvious? We have material attachments. Our attachments are related with matter, not with spirit. And if there is attachment, there is aversion, which is called hatred. Raga, and along with raga, there is dvesha. What is the concept of dvesha here? What does dvesha mean? Why this sequence is given? Ignorance, material conception, attachment, hatred, and absorption. What is hatred? Pradeep, what does hatred mean here?
It's like an obstacle that what we need.
Yes. In our material conception, or 1 minute. गर्म पानी से धोइए और आधे थोड़ा कम गर्म चाय को उबाल के रखिए. So whoever or whatever comes as a obstacle or as a hindrance in our sense gratification or mental concoction, immediately what comes out is dvesha, hatred. So these are the 5 material miseries. First is one has to get over ignorance. And when ignorance is freed, one is situated in knowledge, then one does not have material conceptions. What is his conception? He has spiritual conception. If he has spiritual conception, then what he has spiritual attachment. Then he cannot have material attachments. Then there is no question of hatred. Raga dvesha vimukteshu vishayan indriyascharan atma vaishya vidhe atma. Very beautiful verse in the which chapter is it? Priyanka, you should be knowing.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it is 2.64.
Very good. I was thinking after hearing from Riyanshi the second chapter that Riyanshi might make a flaw, but you will not make a flaw because the effort that you have put to make her memorize is even more. Yeah, this is 2.64. So what is Vidhe Atma? Very interesting. Raga Dvesha Vimukteshu. One is freed from both, from material attachment and from Dvesha, from hatred. Because he is Vishayan Indriyascharan. He is able to control. What he is able to control? What is the natural tendency of Indriya? Is Vishayan. They are always after the sense objects. Charan means is moving or acting upon. So where is Indriya acting upon? Vishaya. So but such a person is Vidhe Atma. Priyanka, what is Vidhe Atma? You should enter into the mystery of the verses. To see what is most important word in this verse is Vidhe Atma. Is Raga Dvesha Vimukteshu. How? Because he is Vishayan Indriyascharan. His Atma Vaishya, he is able to control Vishayan. How? By Vidhe Atma. What is Vidhe Atma? बोलो, देखा नहीं वर्ड मीनिंग क्या है? What is Vidhe Atma? One who can follow the regulated freedom. Prabhupada is not saying one who can follow the rules and regulations. Prabhupada is saying one who can follow the regulated freedom. This following is freedom. And those who are not able to follow, they will remain in bondage. Very, very deep and subtle understanding. So those who are following, they will become freed. And those who fail to follow, they will remain in bondage. Got it? See what Prabhupada has written, Vidhe Atma, one who follows regulated freedom. So one who follows regulated freedom, what is the result? Prasadam adhigacchati. He receives the complete mercy of the Lord. This is exactly in the case of Brahmaji. He received the full mercy of the Lord. How? By following the regulation very strictly. And he has become freed. He has become freed from what? All these five miseries. What are the miseries? Ignorance, material conception, attachment, hatred, and absorption. All five freed. And what is the freedom? He is able to enter into the Vaikuntha Loka. The Lord's abode becomes manifested to him. And Prabhupada says that one who is following this process from the very beginning, he will experience that transcendental happiness. Prabhupada is saying that, but the trouble accepted in executing Bhakti Yoga is transcendental happiness from the very beginning, not at the end. It is from the very beginning. Whereas the trouble of penance in other process of self-realization, Gyan, Dhyan, Yoga, etc., without any Vaikuntha realization, and in trouble only and nothing more. So if we have clarity, conviction, then application is easy, natural. Then no extra effort is to be made. So we'll go forward. As long as one is overwhelmed by these five kinds of material miseries, there is no question of entering into the Vaikuntha Lokas. The impersonal conception of oneself is just the negation of material personality and is far from the positive existence of personal form. The Prabhupada is saying the impersonal conception is just negation of the material personality. So out of five, only one thing is being partially removed. What is that? Material conception. And is far away from positive existence of personal form. The personal form of transcendental abode will be explained in the following verses. Brahmaji also described the highest planet of Vaikuntha Lokas as Golok Vrindavan, where the Lord resides as a cowherd boy keeping transcendental Survi cows and surrounded by thousands of goddesses of fortune. That is how he gave this Brahma Samhita. Where? How? Because he entered the Vaikuntha planets by his pure vision. Chintamani prakhar sadme shukalpa vriksha lakshavrateshu surabhira vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Samrama Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. A statement of the Bhagavad Gita, Yad Gatva Na Nivartante Tad Dhama Paramam Mama, is confirmed herewith. Paramam means transcendental Brahman. Therefore, the abode of the Lord is also Brahman, non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord is known as Vaikuntha, and his abode is also known as Vaikuntha. Such Vaikuntha realization and worship can be made possible by transcendental form and senses. So realization, what is the important thing is the realization. And how it is possible? By transcendental senses. So how the senses become transcendental? We have material senses. And the realization is only possible by transcendental senses. So how realization is possible? In material existence, how transcendental realization is possible? Yes, Sonika?
Krishna Prabhuji, by engaging all the senses in the transcendental service of Lord completely.
Yes, that is there. But what is most important? One has to become Videha Atma. Unless and until one becomes Videha Atma, he cannot have transcendental realization. Now, what is the understanding of Videha Atma? Because transcendental realization is what? It is prasadam, na? Can one acquire transcendental realization? He can only receive. It is prasadam. Prasadam means mercy. So in this context, what we are discussing, how one can have transcendental realization of Vaikuntha Loka. Why others are not participating? Manoram?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So this is only through hearing from the Parampara Prabhuji. We hear, then only it is possible.
No, not in this context what we are discussing. Of course, it means hearing, but only hearing is not sufficient. See, both things were mentioned. Brahmaji did both. I said Gyanendriya also and Karmendriya. Both. Prabhupada mentioned that. So if you are mentioning only one hearing process, it is what? Which Indriya it is?
Karmendriya.
No, come on, my dear.
Jnanendriya Prabhuji.
Gyanendriya. Unless and until the karma is included. Okay, Pradeep, you answer.
Prabhuji, by executing the order of the spiritual master, bona fide spiritual.
Yes. Simple, by following the transcendental sound. This is what we are discussing. And how is the transcendental sound coming down? By the order of the spiritual master. This is how he entered the Vaikuntha Lokna. He heard the sound and he executed the instruction in the sound. And he came on spiritual platform. This is what the entire theme is. That how even in material existence we can come to the transcendental platform by following the transcendental instructions, coming down from transcendental personalities. This is what Brahmaji did. Clear? See what a beautiful conception it is. Very, very important conception. If we are always abiding by the order, then we are always in transcendental position, always in Vaikuntha Lok. Then the material miseries cannot touch us. Padma Patram Ivambhasa. Which verse is that? Everything is there from Bhagavad Gita. Nothing is outside Bhagavad Gita. Who knows that verse? Bolo, Raman.
Prabhuji,
Fully?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it is from 5th chapter, Prabhuji, 5.5 or 5.8 like this.
Yes, it is from the 5th chapter. 10th verse. Brahmani adhaya karmani sangam tattva karotiya lipyate sa na papena padma patram ivambhasa. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action as a lotus leaf is untouched by water. So we have the opportunity in this month, and that opportunity is to please the pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, Srila Prabhupada, by participating fully in Srila Prabhupada's marathon. You will see that if you actually go out and distribute books, you will rise above the bodily platform, on the spiritual platform. But that is penance, tapasya, big tapasya. Biggest tapasya is ego, कालिया. बाहर जाके भिक्षा लेना पड़ेगा. We have to beg that please take. That our mind and ego does not allow. And we make so many reasons and so many excuses. Okay, I'll take one more verse. प्रवर्तते यत्र रजस्तमस्तयो सत्वं च मिश्रं न च कालविक्रमः न यत्र माया किमुता परे हरे अनुव्रता यत्र सुरासुरा अर्चितः. In that personal abode of the Lord, the material modes of ignorance and passion do not prevail, nor is there any of the influence of goodness. प्रवर्तते यत्र रजस तमस्तयो सत्वं च मिश्रम न च काल विक्रमः. There is no predominance of the influence of time. So what to speak of the illusionary external energy? It cannot enter that region. Na yatra maya kim uta pare harer. Without discrimination, both the demigods and the demons worship the Lord as devotees. Mystical. Demigods and demons without discrimination. So how they are demon if they are worshippers of the Supreme Lord? The kingdom of God or the atmosphere of the Vaikuntha nature, which is called the three-path vibhuti, is 3 times bigger than the material universe and is described here as also in Bhagavad Gita in a nutshell. This universe containing billions of stars and planets is one of the billions of such universes clustered within the compass of Mahatattva. And all these millions and billions of universes combined together constitute only 1/4 of the magnitude of the whole creation of the Lord. There is a spiritual sky also beyond this sky, and this sky are the spiritual planets under the names of Vaikuntha. And all of them constitute 3/4 of the entire creation of the Lord. God's creations are always innumerable. Even the leaves of a tree cannot be counted by a man, nor can the hairs on his head. However, foolish men are puffed up with the idea of becoming God himself, though unable to create a hair of their own bodies. Man may discover so many wonderful vehicles of journey, but even if he reaches the moon by his much advertised spacecraft, he cannot remain there. The sane man, therefore, without being puffed up, if he were the God of the universe, abides by the instructions of the Vedic literature, the easiest way to acquire knowledge in transcendence. The first thing was how to remove ignorance is to abide by the instructions. To the extent one is abiding by the instruction, one can gain knowledge, others cannot. So let us know through the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam of the nature and constitution of the transcendental world beyond the material sky. In that sky, the material qualities, especially the modes of ignorance and passions, are completely absent. The mode of ignorance influences the living entity to the habit of lust and hankering. And this means that in the Vaikuntha Loka, the living entities are free from these two things, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita in the Brahma Bhuta. What is the verse? Freedom from these two things. Others should also participate. Why only one of you are? Yes, Purushottam?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी. ब्रह्मभूत प्रसन्न आत्मा ना सोचते ना कांचते.
आगे बोलो, नेक्स्ट लाइन. आधा नहीं चलेगा. व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट लाइन? तो ठीक है, ब्रह्मभूत प्रसन्नात्मा ना सोचती ना कांक्षती. Neither there is hankering, nor there is lamentation. But what is his position? What is that Brahmabhut position? This is not Brahmabhut position, na sochati, na kankshati. This is material position. isn't it? Sochati and Kakshati. So what is the spiritual position? रविंद्र प्रभु आज आप बिल्कुल शांत हैं. What is the second line?
समा सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्त लभते.
So what is the transcendental position? Sama sarveshu bhuteshu. He is sama. He is equipoised on sarveshu bhuteshu, amongst all the living entities. And because he is on that transcendental platform of equanimity, Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Suni Cheva Sopakecha Pandita Samadarshina. Because he is Samadarshina, he is Mad Bhakti Labhate Param. So he is on the transcendental platform where he is performing transcendental devotional service. This is what Brahmaji is doing. He is performing transcendental service by performing penance. 4:30:20, stage of life one becomes free from hankering and limitation. Therefore, the conclusion is that the inhabitants of the Vaikuntha planets are all Brahmabhut living entities, as distinguished from the mundane creatures who are all compact in hankering and lamentation. In the material world, when one is not in the mode of ignorance and passion, one is said to be situated in the mode of goodness. But goodness in the material world also at times becomes contaminated by touches of the modes of passion and ignorance. In Vaikuntha, however, it is unalloyed goodness only. The whole situation there is one of freedom from the illusionary manifestations of the external energy. Although the illusionary energy is also part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, the illusionary energy is differentiated from the Lord. The illusionary energy is not, however, false as claimed by the monist philosophers. The rope accepted as a snake may be an illusion to a particular person, but the rope is a fact, and the snake is also a fact. The illusion of water on the hot desert may be illusion for the ignorant animal searching for water in the desert. But the desert and water are actual facts. Therefore, the material creation of the Lord may be an illusion for the non-devotees. But for devotees, even the material creation of the Lord is a fact as the manifestation of his external energy. But this energy of the Lord is not all. The Lord has his internal energy also, which manifests another creation known as Vaikuntha Lokas, where there is no ignorance, no passion, no illusion, and no past, present, or future. With a poor fund of knowledge, one may be able to understand the existence of such things. One may be unable to understand the existence of such things as Vaikuntha atmosphere. But that does not nullify its existence. That spacecraft cannot reach these planets does not mean that there are no such planets. For they are described in the revealed scripture. So long for Prabhupada. Okay. As quoted by Srila Jiva Goswami, we can know from the Narad Pancharatra that the transcendental world or Vaikuntha atmosphere is enriched with transcendental qualities. These transcendental qualities, as revealed through the devotional service of the Lord, are distinct from the mundane qualities of ignorance, passion, and goodness. Such qualities are not attainable by non-devotees class of men. In the Padma Puran Uttarkand, it is stated that beyond the 1/4 part of the God creation is the 3/4 manifestation. The marginal line between the material manifestation and the spiritual manifestation is the Virja river. Below the Virja river is material world, and beyond the Virja river is all the spiritual world. And beyond the Virja, which is the transcendental current flowing from the perspiration of the body of the Lord, that is also called the Karan Samudra. It is the same. There is the 3/4 manifestation of God's creation. This part is eternal, everlasting, without deterioration and unlimited, and it contains the highest perfectional stage of living condition. In the Sankhya Kaumudi, it is stated that unalloyed goodness or transcendence is just opposite to the material modes. All living entities in the transcendental abode eternally associate with the Lord without any break. And there the Lord is the chief and prime entity. In the Agama, the transcendental abode is described as follows. The Lord's associates there are free to go everywhere within the creation of the Lord. And there is no limit to this creation. particularly in the region of the 3/4 magnitude. Since the nature of that region is unlimited, there is no history of when their association with the Lord began, nor is there an end to it. The conclusion may be drawn that because the complete absence of the mundane qualities of ignorance and passion in Vaikuntha, there is no question of creation or annihilation. In the material world, everything is created and everything is annihilated, and the duration of life between the creation and annihilation is temporary. In the transcendental realm, there is no creation and no destruction, and thus the duration of life is eternal, unlimitedly. What a logic Prabhupada is giving to prove. Simple logic Prabhupada proves the point. That the duration of life between creation and annihilation is temporary. In the material world, everything is created and everything is annihilated, and duration of life between creation and annihilation is temporary. In the transcendental realm, that is Vaikuntha Lok, there is no creation and no destruction, and thus the duration of life is eternal, unlimitedly. In other words, everything in the transcendental world is everlasting, full of knowledge and bliss without deterioration. Since there is no deterioration, there is no past, present, or future in the estimation of time. It is clearly stated in this verse that the influence of time is conspicuous by its absence. This is very important principle. Please note it. This is the spiritual position. That the influence of time is conspicuous by its absence. There is no influence of time because there is no past and there is no future. How to know that there is no past and future? How to come to this conclusion that there is no past and future and that there is no influence of time? Because the influence of time means whatever is present will become past. And there is some future. But in the spiritual world, there is no past and there is no future. How to know that? How? Bolo, jaldi bolo. How you understand that by what Prabhupada has explained so far in the purport? Yes, Sonika?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, टाइम के साथ क्षय होता है, मीन्स डिस्ट्रक्शन होता है, बट ये यहाँ पे सब कुछ सनातन है, मीन्स
How to know that?
एवरलास्टिंग है, इसलिए यहाँ पे टाइम का इफेक्ट नहीं
तो
है.
मुझे पता है, वो हमें सबको पता है. तो how to know that there is no influence of time there? What is the evidence that Prabhupada has given in this purport? How to come to this conclusion? On what basis? Very important aspect is mentioned here. Principle. बोलिए माननीय माता जी, सुन रही है ना? कैसे? समय का प्रभाव नहीं है, ना भूत है ना भविष्य है. क्या प्रमाण दिया है प्रभुपाद जी ने? व्हाट इज द एविडेंस? ऐसे ही कुछ भी थोड़ी बोल सकते हैं. बोलने के पीछे कुछ तथ्य होना चाहिए. देयर हैज टू बी सम सब्सटेंस, सम एविडेंस. व्हाट इज द एविडेंस प्रभुपाद इज कोटिंग हियर? किसी ने नहीं पकड़ा. इधर लिखा हुआ है साफ, प्रभुपाद जी ने लिखा हुआ है इस परपोर्ट में. दयाशील, व्हाट इज द एविडेंस?
Part and parcel.
What part and parcel? You speak with some integrity. Don't speak like a ignorant person. I think you were dreaming. You did not understand what is the question. Yes, Manoram. What is your answer?
Prabhuji, Prabhupada mentioned that in the transcendental realm there is no creation and no destruction.
Yes, this is the point. If there is no creation, that means there is no past. And there is no annihilation, that means there is no future. This simple point, simple logic you are not picking up. And Raskar is speaking that the part and parcel. Hear attentively. You cannot hear without heart. If heart is absorbed somewhere else, then you cannot hear. So this is the point. Why there is no past and there is no future? Because everything is eternal. So the influence of time is conspicuous by his absence. Time is there, please understand. But the influence of time is not there. What the time does in this material world? Everything is under the influence of time. The time converts anything present into past. It destroys everything. Time is the greatest annihilator. But in the spiritual world, there is no annihilation. The time is there, but its influence is not there. It's conspicuous by its absence. Its effect is not there. Its influence is not there. The whole material existence is manifested by actions and reactions of elements which make the influence of time prominent in the matter of past, present, and future. There are no such actions and reactions of cause and effect there. So the cycle of birth, growth, existence, transformation, deterioration, and annihilation, these 6 material changes are non-existent. So this is not there. So this 6 cycle is not there. It is the unalloyed manifestation of the energy of the Lord without illusion as experienced here in the material world. The whole Vaikuntha existence proclaims that everyone there is the follower of the Lord. The Lord is the chief leader there without any competition for leadership. This is very important. This is the Vaikuntha atmosphere. That without any competition for leadership. And the people in general are the followers of the Lord. It is confirmed in the Vedas, therefore the Lord is the chief leader and all the living entities are subordinate to him. What is the verse? For only the Lord satisfies all need of other living entities. I'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Then bolo, what principle is this? You see Prabhupada's purport, full of evidence, full of principles. I know you know this verse, Dayāśīl Prabhu. माननीय माता जी क्या है ये कौन सा सिद्धांत है जो प्रभुपाद जी इस आखिरी परपोर्ट की लाइन में कोट कर रहे हैं? पढ़ेंगे नहीं, ध्यान से सुनेंगे नहीं, कुछ सिद्धांत आएगा नहीं। और ये 5 प्रकार की जो मिजरीज है, इससे मुक्ति होगी नहीं किसी भी हाल में। ना तो इग्नोरेंस जाएगी, ना मटेरियल कंसेप्शन जाएगा, ना अटैचमेंट जाएगा। जा रहा है? नहीं जा रहा है। वैकुंठा कहां से समझ में आएगा? वैकुंठा कभी दिखेगा नहीं। हेट्रेड भी रहेगी और एब्जॉर्प्शन भी रहेगा। क्या है लास्ट की लाइन का वर्स? बोलो दयाशील प्रभु, लेट हो रहा है, 9:35 हो गया।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी नित्यो नित्यानाम चेतनानाम एको जो बहुनाम विदधाति कामान।
एको यो बहुनाम विदधाति कामान ताम आत्मस्थम अनुपश्यति धीरा तेषाम शाश्वतम शांतिम निगच्छति। ओके, अगर आप पढ़िए ध्यान से, कल क्वेश्चन आंसर लेंगे। और व्हाट इज वैकुंठा विजन, वैकुंठा थिंकिंग, वो कल हम आपको बताएंगे। वेरी ब्यूटीफुल परपोर्ट, Srila Prabhupada's purport. It has given me so much inspiration. Whenever there is some confusion or some frustration, I read that purport. I will share it. Color, you remind me. What it means to be a Vaikuntha vision. What is Vaikuntha vision? Prabhupada explained. See, such nectar is there in such purports. Each purport. But we should know how to extract it, and we should have that higher taste to relish it. That is what is the purpose of study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Rasamalyam. Mahuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavaka. Become that Rasika Bhuvi Bhavaka. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.